How much are you gonna spend on top of your tuition and living expenses during your MBA experience? In this video, I will shed some light on how much additional costs you will face that maybe nobody has ever told you yet. But before I start, hit the like button if you get value out of my content. And if you want to be updated on new MBA related content, subscribe to my channel. It's been mentioned many times, but pursuing an MBA is a huge investment, and along with the costs you might expect come other hidden expenses. Now, business schools won't give you an exact number on how much you will be spending. They do give you some guidance on their websites, but estimates of the COA, the cost of attendance, encompasses all of the costs that your school believes a student will incur in a given year. The figures that schools provide for an MBA program are always conservative and based on a humble and moderate student lifestyle. However, you should take this figure with some caution. For instance, not every school includes the expenses associated with international courses and projects or other immersive learning experiences. So with the tuition already being very high, somewhere at around 150,000 US dollars, at least for one of the top tier schools, you have to add healthcare and living expenses, which is another $50,000 to $70,000. And while this is a good estimate, it can't cover everything, okay? And before I dive into the costs during your MBA program, let me quickly walk you through the expenses before you even attend a business school. Starting from the application process right up to graduation, there are hidden expenses everywhere. In the beginning, during your application process, applying to a couple of business schools can quickly add up to hundreds of dollars or sometimes even thousands of dollars. Almost every business school charges an application fee, which will typically range from $70 to $250. And please do watch this video in which I'm explaining in detail how you can avoid paying application fees for your business school application. On top of this, most schools require you to take a standardized admissions test like the GMAT or GRE. It's highly recommendable to buy prep materials, which will cost you another $100. The actual exam will be around $200, but a lot of people take these exams more than once because very often they're not satisfied with their first score and believe they can do better. Then you might want to visit your target schools to strengthen your application, as well as traveling to events hosted by the school's admissions committees. Some applicants may also choose to hire an admissions consultant that will bring in expert knowledge who can coach you through the application process and improve your chances of being accepted. The prices charged by consultants vary considerably, but can be as much as $500 US per hour. Many of the top graduate schools also require prospective students to attend an interview to determine their eligibility with admissions staff. Travel expenses for the interview comes also entirely out of your own pocket, and you may need to spend money on things like new clothes, for example. All in all, you are looking at spending thousands of dollars on travel, food and gas. My advice here is to prepare as good as possible. Ideally, you should try to sit the GMAT or GRE only once and apply to just a few carefully considered programs where you have a good shot at being accepted. Okay, compared to what I'm about to tell you right now, these initial costs are peanuts. Once you make it to campus, the hidden expenses come in full swing. A few years ago, this was in 2015, Bloomberg Businessweek conducted a study which concluded that the MBAs spending the most discretionary cash were at Stanford Graduate School of Business with an average annual spend of approximately 18,500 US dollars or 37,000 US dollars for their whole program. Second to Stanford was Wharton, where the average level of spending was 70,700 US dollars. I will put a link in the description below if you want to know more about this survey. Now, what are the hidden costs? What will you be spending your money on? Here we go. Networking is kind of like a buzzword when it comes to business school. And if you want to know more about MBA buzzwords, check out this video I did. Whether you're looking for an internship or hunting for a full-time position, taking your next career step can also throw unexpected costs your way. This can be traveling for interviews or attending networking events, Career development could cost you $1,000 or more, depending on where you travel to. For example, if you are recruiting for investment banking and you are not based in New York City, taking flights, trains, buses, or taxis and Ubers can easily pile up to $5,000. In general, during the recruiting process, you might have to fly out to meet a company at one of their local offices or travel to a few different locations for a few different interviews. If the business school you are attending is a target school, companies come on campus to have those interviews for your convenience. Then they interview multiple people from your class and you will be assigned a time slot. But it's still better than traveling a whole day for a 45-minute interview and spending additional money. The costs of networking can vary greatly depending on where you go to school. If you go to school in a rural or suburban setting, networking will likely be much more expensive than if you live in a major city. The next thing is socializing. To really connect with your cohort and class, you'll want to take part in social activities, whether that's grabbing a coffee, having dinner and drinks, going out, or playing sports. Being able to learn from your peers and gain insights from alumni across companies and industries is a crucial part of the MBA experience. But useful conversations don't always happen in the classroom. Regardless if you are a social person or not, I highly recommend joining those activities. This is the way you bond with your peers and you don't want to be left out. Expect to spend $50 to $100 per week on those activities on average. Over a 2-year program, this will easily pile up to more than $5,000. There are certainly other expenses your COA may not cover. While these are largely tied to lifestyle costs, the value of building a strong social network of your MBA peers can't be overstated. Then, once you land an internship or a full-time position, costs such as updating your professional wardrobe and socializing with new colleagues can also add up, which might pose issues in your first weeks if you aren't offered a signing bonus. Surprising costs like these can reveal themselves at virtually every stage of your MBA. Just make sure to plan carefully. Traveling is a huge part of the MBA experience. One of my best memories is when we got to travel around Japan for our final class trip. The trip was led by a few Japanese classmates and lasted a little over a week. We got to immerse ourselves in the Japanese culture and traveled to a couple of cities. Just about every business school has its own versions of similar events, but it's an experience that I highly recommend to anyone because those are once-in-a-lifetime retreats. Then there are all the parties and celebratory events during the entire year, from ski trips to sports events. At IESE, for example, we had an annual sports event called Spring Games, in which we would compete at funny games against other leading business schools from all around the world. The attendance alone during my time was over €100. If you were joining from another school, you would have to pay hotel and travel on top. Many students, in fact, will argue that they are a necessity for the bonding and networking opportunities they provide. But they are also among the hidden costs of getting the degree and they add up very fast. So don't forget to add all those after-class drinks, weekend jaunts and parties and week-long excursions to all parts of the globe. If you are planning to take a lower-paying internship at a startup or nonprofit, or potentially start your own company over the summer, room and board expenses alone may exceed your income for the summer. So those are also additional costs that need to be considered. If you join a handful of clubs, as nearly every MBA student does, note that dues run about $10 to $150 for each organization, and some club events may also come with additional costs. You won't realize how much all of the club dues, trips and social events would add up. While they are technically optional, you don't want to cut them out because they are part of the experience and they help build friendships and a strong network. Professional clubs can be helpful for students preparing for a career switch, as they often hold events specifically to prepare students for the recruiting or interview process. They may offer opportunities for mock interviews, resume reviews with alumni in a certain industry, lectures or events with industry experts, or networking events to connect students with key contacts in the field. All of these club-hosted opportunities can help you for your future job search or even serve as a foot in the door for your next internship or job. Purchasing necessary supplies is a major expense that many graduate students overlook. School shopping can be expensive. Even little things like the cost of notebooks, pens, and pencils can add up when you consider that you will be going to school for a few years. On top of the cost of necessary school supplies, you will also need to buy expensive books that can sometimes cost students thousands each semester. You will also need a laptop or a computer that is compatible with all of the software your school uses. If you have an old or outdated computer, purchasing a new one can be a major unexpected expense on top of other costs of earning an MBA. Here is a little advice. To help cut costs on your school supplies, avoid shopping at the campus school supply store. They will overcharge you on basic things like pens and paper. You get those a lot cheaper in supermarkets or online. You can also find digital copies of your textbooks online that are much cheaper than the copies sold by your campus bookstore. To sum this up, earning your MBA is a significant expense that can have plenty of benefits for the future of your career. There are many hidden expenses to earning your MBA that make the process much more expensive than it first appears. But no business school will be able to tell you how much you will be spending for your MBA experience, simply because there is no way to anticipate specific costs for each individual student. They don't know your lifestyle decisions and how much you want to invest into networking and job hunting, for example. Ultimately, if you are on a tight budget or on financial aid, you have to make some choices and prioritize what's important for you and spend accordingly. The most important thing is to do your research and be prepared to avoid paying too much extra for graduate school. Talk to current students or to alumni and try to get a good understanding on what additional expenses will come up. Start creating your budget as soon as you're accepted into your target program, and contact your financial aid office if you have any questions. Financial aid officers can be a wonderful resource for new students. They are on your side and have a lot of experience with a wide variety of different student financial situations. Planning and prioritization is once again key. Try to arrange extra trips with your peers as far in advance as possible and agree on a budget early on to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Unplanned trips and visits are the largest expense you will likely encounter. Along with trips planned by the school, you will no doubt find yourself invited to supplementary experiences arranged by peers. Question of the day: what kind of hidden costs did you find surprising? What were you not aware of that this sort of cost exists? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that said, I'm concluding this video. I hope you found it informative and valuable. Stick around for more content. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. My name is Adrian and I hope to see you next time.